Hello Brick Sculptors and welcome back to Bricksculpt. This is Chris and today I want to share with you my Lego School Bus MOC. This is a MOC I've had in my city for a little bit now and real happy with how it turned out, so I kind of want to show you how I built it. I'll do a little step-by-step here. If you have any questions, please leave them below and I can try to answer them for you. And hopefully you guys can gather some inspiration from this and maybe use some of these techniques in your own MOCs. First we'll go ahead and start building the base of the school bus. We'll start with a couple of black plates. This one is a 6x10. The bus is going to be 6 wide. That's usually the width I use when building trucks and larger vehicles. I'm going to put some gray plate on top, just overlapping. This first one is a 4x8. This one here is a 4x6. And another 4x6. And that'll give us the general base of the bus here. As for axles, I'm going to use these single-sided axles. I really like how these work. They get the wheels out in the right position, especially if you're going to use fender flares, which I am. 2 of them in the back, 2 of them in the front. You'll notice I don't have plate in the front. I'm going to build the front of the bus with the snot technique, so it's just going to kind of end at the axle here. I'm going to use a couple just plates to hold these pieces in place, keep them from falling off. So there's our basic base of the bus, and we can go ahead and start building onto that. Next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to build some walls. I'm going to do that with just simple yellow brick. Just going to build around the perimeter of these gray plates. Now when using fender flares, these pieces, these kind of anti-slope guys work really well because the tires will still fit and the fender will cover the angle here, but it won't leave a gap, and it really works well. I'm sure you may have seen that technique. It's a real common thing that Lego uses in official builds. And on this side I am going to leave a little gap here because we have to put a door in. So there's our first layer. Now we can go ahead and pop our fenders in. And you see how nice and covered, but still plenty of room for the wheel up in there. I looked at a lot of different school bus pictures before I built this for the first time. And I was really trying to get the colors right, the sizing right. Some things are pretty difficult to translate into Lego, but this scale turned out pretty good. And color-wise, the gray I think looked really good on there. After this, we're going to put a black stripe. So school buses are typically yellow, but they often have 2 or 3 black stripes around them. So we're just going to use some black plate, and we're going to do the perimeter in black plate. And the pieces I'm using work well, but there's other substitutes you can use for this if you don't have these exact pieces handy. Lots of different plate setups you can do in here. As long as you do the entire perimeter, that's really all that matters. And there's our next layer. After that, we're going to do another layer of yellow. Now in the back, I need to add tail lights. And in looking at pictures of school buses, they have lights all over them. And you'll see at the end here how many lights are going to be on this bus. But I'm going to do a whole row on the back. 6 of these headlight pieces facing backward, which I guess makes them tail light pieces. Just like that. And then another layer of brick around the perimeter. On this side, I'm going to put a headlight piece right here because I'm going to put a stop sign on the side. I'm going to do one more layer of black to make another stripe. Since I use taillights in the back, I like to use these corner plates because they give a little more rigidity. But you don't have to do that. There are other ways you can do this. I'm going to cut the black off here. I'm actually going to put a yellow tile there. You'll see why. It looks kind of goofy right now, but it will make sense later. And a couple of yellow plates here in the front. So the stripe really just does the back of the bus. At this point I can pop my door in. I don't love the door I have for this. And I don't really have a good way to connect it, but it works good enough. And it's tricky. You don't want to put a full-size door on it. Scale-wise, it wouldn't look that good. Oops. So this little 3-wide door worked pretty good, I think. Let's go ahead and start building out the front of the bus. The first thing I'm going to do is right behind the fenders, I'm going to add a couple of just 2x2 bricks. You could do one 2x4, I just didn't have one handy, so that's what I put in there. I'm going to put a black plate 1x4 there. Another black plate 2x4. And right now I'm just kind of building up the dashboard. I picked this little display. This is actually from an airplane, but it's got some dials on it, and I really like that it has a walkie-talkie. Just kind of reminds me of the interior of a bus. Gray brick. And a steering wheel. That'll do kind of our interior dash of the bus. The next piece we'll add, this is a 1x6 plate with two 1x2 plates on it. And this is going to support the front of the bus here. And then I have one of these large snot pieces. These work really well for the fronts of large vehicles because they hold so much. And I'm going to actually expand this too with plate to make it hold even more. But those are really, really good pieces to have if you're building vehicles, especially larger vehicles. On the front of this, I'm going to put a 2x4 yellow plate with a 1x4 black plate right on here to extend that a little lower so I can get to the bottom of where the fenders are and where the rest of the vehicle is. So next I'm going to put on the headlights. This is a piece I made out of a 1x6 plate, a 1x4 plate, and a 1x2 tile. Then I've got a couple of trans clear pieces for headlights and some trans orange cheese wedges for turn signals. This will actually go down here on the black plate. And you'll see I get this kind of funny gap here behind it. The way I'm going to fill that, I use one of these 1x2 slopes. I put a 1x1 brick on it. And then it just drops down in that gap. Same thing here on the other side. And it fills the space nicely. Above this I need to put a grill. This is a silver grill with a black plate behind it, a couple of yellow cheese wedges, and a 1x4 yellow brick. This is just going to slide in right above it. And now it's starting to look like a school bus. I'm going to put a black 1x4 plate in this empty gap. And then I'm going to put the hood on it. Just like that. Now down below this bumper I've still got some space and I've still got some snot bricks. This is a 1x2 black tile. It's going to go on the right side if you're driving the bus, left side if you're looking at the front. And then I built this here. This has a hinge and some plates, and it kind of makes that little guard stick that they put on the front of the bus. So it's got a little play feature to it. You can pull that out when the bus is parked to keep kids from walking in front of the bus. At this point, we can put our windshield on. And now it looks like a convertible bus. Time for some windows. So for the windows, I'm using these airplane windows in yellow. One thing I wish I could have found a better technique for, but on the back, I put a double here to make it stronger. I wish I could have 3 windows on the back, because a bus typically has an emergency door and 2 smaller windows, but I just couldn't find a good way to do that, so unfortunately it's only going to have 2 windows in the back. And then I just do these individual ones all the way down the side. Couple of 1x1 bricks stacked, fill in the extra gaps in the back and up there by the door. And it's starting to look like a school bus. And on top of this, I'm going to put some tile. This will make the top easier to remove. Let's go ahead and set that aside. And then we can start working on the top. So now when laying out the roof, we're going to take some yellow plate. I didn't have two of these, so I kind of improvised. But it's okay, you won't really know when I'm done. We're going to make a shape like this. These are these snot bricks. And these are nice because they're really low profile, because they'll fit lights on them without looking too bulky, and we can keep the roof slimmer. So we're going to put two of those in the back, two of them in the front. Then I have a couple of plates, 1x2 stacked. Those are going to go in the middle, just like that. So let's go ahead and connect these. Now again, because I'm working with kind of mismatched pieces here, it's not all going to stick together just yet, but that's what the next step will do. I've got some white plates. This one's a 4x6, and that's going to connect it all. So we're going to put this right down the middle. This is going to be the back of the bus here. And we'll work our way forward. There's a 2x4. Another 4x6. Then on the front of the bus, we're not going to put plate. We're going to use one of these hood pieces here. And it'll just slot right over the top like that. So this will be the general layout for our roof. Two of these little 1x2s are going to stick underneath here to fill this gap in the front. One on each side. And then we're going to start putting slopes on here. So first we'll go down the middle with some tiles. A plate next, because I'm going to put a tile on top of that, which will stick up, and that'll act as an emergency exit. I put a 2x2 jumper with a light piece on it, because buses have this flashing strobing light on top, so they can be seen. Another tile, another plate, and that'll give us our second emergency exit. Another plate. One more. So now we just have to put slopes on the sides. Now I did a pattern of 1x2 slopes and 2x2 slopes to kind of mix up the ridges. I don't know if you think this looks better or not, but I think it kind of looks more like sheet metal to do it this way. Bus tops are typically white. Sometimes they'll be color matched, but that's kind of rare. Sometimes they're black. But white, I think, is the most common color for school bus top. And same thing on the other side. There we go. Let's go ahead and finish the interior, and then we'll put the roof on. So driver's seat, I just put on a black plate. And that's going to stick right here. And as for the interior seats, I do have a 1 brick tall bump from the fenders. So my first seat, I'm going to take 2 yellow chairs, put one of these in the middle, and that's just going to stick right on top of those. I'm going to put another seat right behind that. I use the same technique, just these are independent bricks, they're not part of the fender. Another one here. And we can fit one more row. right there. I know there's no aisle, but building with Lego, you only have so much space, so sometimes you have to make some sacrifices. But I think this turned out pretty cool. We can go ahead and put the roof on it now. And we got to add lights. On these upper caution lights, they do orange on the outside and red in the middle. Like that. Same thing on the back. And on the brake lights down here, they do the opposite. They do red on the outside, orange in the middle. And then in this middle, I just did a little plate. Tile. Alright, what's left? Wheels. And I experimented around with lots of different pieces for this. The best piece I could find was actually a broken piece, but hey, I used it anyway. Put a stop sign on that and stick it into our headlight piece. You can kind of tuck it away at the side, or when it parks, pull this out in the front, and you can kind of rotate this and it will slide out like that, and then tucks back in. Last but not least, we're going to need a driver. Where's Rick? There he is. And there we go. One school bus. Well, I hope you liked this build. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you maybe learned something. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, because we're going to do more videos just like this one.